Good evening again to all the virtual attendees. The program will begin in 5 minutes. Hello, good evening to all, and welcome to the office of Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett's first virtual Academy Day. Thank you all for joining as we are about to take an adventure through the five-star academies. I am Candia Rivera, a fellow wounded warrior, and I would be your host this evening. Please join me as we play the national anthem followed by the Virgin Islands March. One second as we try to fix the audio. Now we will have the Virgin Islands March. Thank you. Now we will have welcoming recorded remarks from our Congresswoman of the Virgin Islands, Stacey Plaskett.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and it is indeed an honor for me to welcome you to our first virtual Academy Day. The United States Military Academies, better known as the United States Service Academies, have some of the most competitive admission standards in the nation. Attending either one of the 5 service academies, the United States Air Force Academy, United States Coast Guard Academy, the United States Merchant Marine Academy, the United States Military Academy, and the United States Naval Academy can be a great way to prepare for service as a military officer while also getting a high-quality college education. Each of these schools are unique in nature, and they all provide the education needs for their cadets to succeed in their future endeavors in the military. Life as a student at a service academy is very different from life as a civilian college student. You will not only receive a quality education in preparation for your career, you will also be trained to serve in the armed forces, teaching teamwork, discipline, goal achievement, integrity, and honor. These military schools are structured establishments meant to push those enrolled both physically and mentally. Although the changes caused by COVID-19 pandemic have been difficult, I encourage each and every one of you to be of good courage. Do your best to prepare for this season of your life and take the steps necessary to remain safe. Research your academy school to find out what precautions are being taken for your safety. My office is actively ready to serve you during the application process as the deadline is October 31st. You are not alone. Your family, teachers, mentors, friends, along with my office, are here for you. I applaud each of you for your interest in becoming part of the brave men and women who stand ready to support and defend our country and the United States Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you to the Congresswoman for those welcoming remarks. Now we would have our very own from the U.S. Virgin Islands ROTC of St. Croix, Captain Smith.
Good evening. Again, I am Captain Tanisha Smith, the University of Virgin Islands Assistant Professor of Military Science. The University of Virgin Islands teaches students to be their authentic self while enhancing their leadership abilities and qualities. Students are considered a product of what their parents mold them to be and what society told them to be. We have found that the moment students detach themselves from their predetermined mindset and focus solely on themselves, that's only when they find their own voice and actually start being themselves. A student's journey of self-discovery starts in college, and the University of ROTC program teaches perseverance and long-term life skills, simultaneously offering benefits such as scholarships, opportunities to participate in reputable fellowships with the government, to include Capitol Hill, the White House, the Pentagon, and Crystal City. Students also have the opportunity to be selected to become congressional liaisons and attend strategic seminars to prepare them for complexities that may exist in the future. Now that you know the benefits of joining the ROTC, I have a short video presentation that demonstrates the life of an ROTC cadet and how you can become a part of a close-knit family. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Smith. Now we will have the presentation from our five-star academies. We will start with the United States Military Academy. Let's all welcome Captain Winters.
Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Winters, and I will be talking to you about the United States Military Academy. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I'm an Army Logistics Officer from Fort Hood, Texas. I ran track and field during my time as a cadet at the Academy. You can go to the next slide. I graduated in 2016. I spent 4 years at Fort Hood, Texas, where I did one rotation to South Korea. And now I am back here at the United States Military Academy at West Point. Next slide. So this is a picture of our campus. The campus is very condensed. Cadets can walk everywhere that they need to go. There's no need for a bike. There's no need for a car or to call an Uber or anything. You can walk everywhere you're gonna need to go. So we're located about 45 minutes north of New York City. During normal pre-corona times, cadets oftentimes go to the city on their weekends. Next slide. West Point is the world's preeminent leadership institution. We focus on developing cadets into leaders of character through 4 pillars: the academic, physical, military, and character pillars. We are a fully funded institution, so Your education is going to be valued at $350,000. And then upon graduation, you will become a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and you will serve for 5 years on active duty. Next slide. Like I said, you'll undergo a top-tier academic experience here at West Point. What I want to highlight is that we are ranked among the Ivy Leagues with Rhodes and Marshall Scholars. So if you're looking at pursuing something like that, we have a solid program to help you in those endeavors. And we're consistently ranked above in the top institutions in the country. Next slide. This is a list of our academic majors that we offer here at West Point. We'll just pause for a second, let you review them. Next slide. So outside of the academic school year during the summers, you can participate in internships at places like the White House or the CIA. You can also do internships with large companies like Amazon and Facebook. So outside of your military training during the summers, you have the opportunity to do internships. You also have the opportunity to do semesters abroad in places like Brazil or China. You can go spend a semester at another academy if you would like to experience what it's like to be at the Air Force Academy or the Naval Academy. Next slide. So a part of our physical development program is participating in one of these 3 sports programs. So we have intramurals, we have club sports, and we have NCAA sports. So outside of the typical physical education classes that are a part of our curriculum, we believe that every cadet is an athlete. And so every cadet will participate in a team. We believe that this helps us to build teamwork and camaraderie on the battlefield. Next slide. All right, so a little bit about the application process. We are looking for talented, highly qualified, and diverse candidates. We look at 3 pillars: the academic pillar, the physical fitness pillar, and leadership potential. Next slide. So the academic portion is weighted 60%. So we look at your transcripts and then your SATs and your ACTs. When you take your SAT or ACT, you're going to want to opt in for the writing section because we will be looking at that. If this is new as of yesterday, so if your ACT or your SAT has been canceled and you can provide us with documentation that it was canceled, we will be accepting your PSAT score report. Again, that's if your SAT or ACT has been canceled and you can't take one in your area, then you will email your admissions officer and let them know that you've been canceled for your test, and we will look at your PSAT score report. But it's highly encouraged that you do take the SAT or ACT, so if you have it available in your area, definitely sign up for the test. The leadership pillar is 30% of the application. So for this pillar, we're looking at things like clubs that you're involved in, whether you're the president of a club or the captain of a sports team. Those all play a role in the leadership category. And then lastly, the candidate fitness assessment, the physical portion, is weighted at 10%. So keep working out so that you can do well on that. Next slide. So this is all I have for you this evening. If you have questions about anything, I will drop my email in the chat. Feel free to send me an email so that we can connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Winters. Now we will have Lieutenant Frazier from the U.S. Naval Academy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Stephen Frazier. I'm from the U.S. Naval Academy. I graduated in the class of 2014, where I then went on to flight school in Pensacola, and I'm a naval flight officer. I've done 2 tours to Japan and 1 in Bahrain, so I've been a lot of very diverse places. And I'm just here to give you a little bit about the service academy that I came from. While we wait for the slide to come up, I will preface what I say with, I absolutely recommend that you do your research into each of the academies, because while we may be rivals, we all offer incredible opportunities. And sometimes one may fit you better just because that's your preference. So you can't make a bad decision, and I highly recommend do your research and make sure that you know what you're really getting yourself into, because that's what's important. That's what the next several years of your life are going to be like. Next slide. So the Naval Academy offers multiple majors in 3 separate groups, I could call them. You have your engineering and weapons, your math and science, and your humanities and social sciences. I myself am a political science major. However, no matter what degree you get from the Naval Academy, you will receive a Bachelor's of Science degree due to the technical nature of the coursework. So even I had to take thermodynamics, chemistry, calculus, things of that nature, and it's common classes that everyone will need to take. Next slide. We also offer a few minors. We do have a very small class size. As you can see, we have about an 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which is really awesome, especially if you're like me and you need just a little bit of extra help in the academic side of things, because the faculty is absolutely there to help you. They really helped me, and as a story for how anyone can really do it if they put their mind to it, I actually failed my first math class when I got to the Naval Academy my freshman year. So I am a success story. It can happen, but that's a lot of it due to the close contact with the faculty, as well as the student-led tutoring sessions and classmates being willing to help you. All of that gives you a very supportive environment. Next slide. This is that core curriculum I talked about. As you can see, it's very technical. I won't get into the meat and potatoes here. If you do have questions, I'll provide my email address at the end. You can also send questions to me, but this is what it generally looks like. Your freshman or your plebe year is on the left, all the way to your first year or your senior year on the right. We also offer a multitude of varsity sports. I was on the varsity rifle team all 4 years. We do, so one of the co-ed sports, we have the men's teams, the women's teams, and we are very competitive across the board. Obviously, I'm biased and I love beating Army, but again, all of the service academies are competitive. We're very, very high level competition, but even if you're not into the varsity athletics, you're still going to be doing a sport. We have numerous extracurriculars as well as collegiate club sports that you'll compete intercollegiately with as well. Next slide. With all of this, you're going to be very busy. So your general daily schedule, especially that freshman year, is going to look similar to this. That I will highlight just with our shortened time, that 8 to 11 academic study period, that is a time that you don't necessarily have to be awake from 8 to 11 at night studying. You will just have that block of time where it's uninterrupted. You're not going to be messed with. You're not going to have any outside duties other than studying and homework. And oftentimes you'll have more time than that. That's just a dedicated time where you are very focused on your studies, and it is sufficient time to get all your work done. Next slide. There is a pay and benefits aspect to the academies. All midshipmen at the Naval Academy will receive a full scholarship. So this tuition, room and board, food, medical, dental. You're also going to be receiving a stipend. While that base level stipend is, as it says, $1,150, you're going to see between $100 and $600 in your bank account every month. Next. You'll have summer training every year as well, so you don't necessarily get 3 months off for your summer. You'll still get 4 weeks of vacation, but you're going to be doing multiple training sessions. Again, I won't go super in depth with this, but you can do things all across the country and even internationally, depending on which year you've come out of. And it's a really good opportunity to really decide what it is you want to do after you graduate, because we are requiring a minimum of 5 years of service when you graduate. You're going to be commissioned officer, and we want you to know what job it is you want to do so that you perform well in it. Next slide. So these are just a couple of pictures, and we'll tab through these pretty quickly. These are just some of the opportunities that you can see once you graduate. Most of these are unrestricted lines, so these are all jobs that we want you to have unrestricted, that you're not going to be medically held back for anything, but we do offer some restricted line jobs as well. Next. My personal favorite, aviation. Next. We do have SEALs and EOD as well. Next slide. And the Marine Corps. We are also the institution that graduates Marine Corps aviation and ground. Next. So these are just my top 5 reasons to go Navy. You get the full scholarship, guaranteed employment. Our location, we're so close to Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. You also have opportunities for graduate education programs while you're at the academies where you can possibly earn your master's prior to graduating. Leadership and character development, it is a very unique environment to come to a service academy and really learn leadership as well as your studies. And then a very high graduation rate, especially for a school of our academic caliber. Next. All right, and then this is our website where you can go to hit the application, and I'll provide that for you later as well. And then just some of our social media. I promise I don't get anything for you liking my Facebook page, but we do put out some good information on these as well. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lieutenant Frazier, for that wonderful presentation. We will move right along onto the U.S. Air Force Academy, and we would have Major Wither.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Major Joseph Withers from the United States Air Force Academy, coming to you from Colorado. I'm a 2005 graduate of the Air Force Academy, and I served on active duty for 9 years, and now I'm in the United States Reserves. I've been working for Air Force Academy and missions for a little bit over 6 years right now. So I am the director of Florida for our missions program, and I have a team of about 50 ALOs that cover Florida and also the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the remainder of the Caribbean. So I'll go ahead and go through our slides here real quick. This is the United States Air Force Academy, and our mission is to educate, train, and inspire men and women to become officers of character motivated to lead the U.S. Air Force and Space Forces in service to our nation. Very exciting times right now, as we just last year founded the United States Space Force, and in this past April we had our first class of graduates from the Air Force Academy who commissioned directly into the U.S. Space Force. So this is kind of a new era for us that we're launching into, and we're all very excited about it. And there's a lot more opportunities that we're expecting to become available as we go further into that frontier. Next slide. This is the Air Force Academy. It's located in Colorado Springs, about an hour south of Denver. We have a 19,000-acre campus. And just like all the other service academies, we have everything on campus that all the cadets could possibly need, from barbershop to post office, laundry facilities. Everything they need is right there, as well as the athletic facilities, which you can see kind of on the top side of that picture. There is our athletic facilities. And then, we have everything else there as well. For some reason, a lot of our cadets do still choose to leave campus for some strange reason. We haven't figured it out yet, but we do allow them to get some R&R time and get off campus and go into downtown Colorado Springs and Denver and wherever, just as long as they're back in time for school. With that note, at all the service academies, you do get, typically you get 3 to 4 weeks of vacation or time off during the summer, and then you also get all of the federal holidays off as well. There's 10 or 12 of those a year, so you get some 3-day weekends as well. This is another view of the Air Force Academy there. The cadet wing comprises of 75% male and 25% female right now, for just about a little over 4,000 students. And we do have members of the cadet wing that represent all 50 U.S. states, territories, as well as some foreign countries as well. Next slide. We have 32 available majors as well as 5 minors, and I'd like to emphasize that they're not just all technical degrees, although we are very proud of our engineering technical degrees. We also have a lot of non-technical degrees such as English, history, general studies, philosophy, management, and then we are starting to bring on more degree programs to help prepare cadets to go into the U.S. Space Force. And you can see we have some minors there, include space war fighting, nuclear weapons and strategies, and also space operations as well. So we're starting to bring more of those type of programs online. Next slide. This is just kind of the core curriculum that you'll accomplish over your 4 years there. It's 92 hours of core classes plus about 20 to 30 hours of your majors courses. Next slide. Again, like all the other service academies, we do have very small class sizes. It's about an 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio. And this to me is the best part about going to service academy, because if you go to a normal institution, you're going to be attending classes with hundreds of other students, not necessarily learning from the teacher. It might be a teacher's assistant or teacher's aide or something like that. We have a full-time dedicated faculty at the academy who are all available for extra instruction after hours, and they really go out of their way to help out the students. We also have a study hall program, as well as other options for getting assistance. So really there's no reason to not get the high quality education that you are entitled to and you deserve by going to a service academy, unless you just don't put in the time and effort. Next slide. It's kind of what a daily schedule looks like for cadets, Monday through Friday. You're up anywhere between 6:30. We've got classes in the morning and then lunch, and then you've got class in the afternoon, followed by athletic time, and then study time in the evening. Next slide. We like to say that every cadet at the Air Force Academy is an athlete. So if you don't participate in one of our varsity sports that we have, on the next slide, we also have a handful of intramural sports in both the spring and fall semesters that every cadet will participate in. So you definitely, being a part of the military, physical fitness is extremely important. So we definitely emphasize that during your 4 years at the academy, so you can stay fit to fight and deploy around the world and serve our country. Next slide. We also have a handful of club sports. Next slide. And we also have about, next slide please. We also have about 50 cadet clubs or so as well. And a lot of these are all student founded. So if you have extracurricular activities or hobbies that you like to participate in your free time, we have a lot of those available to you at the Air Force Academy, where you'll be able to participate in them. And there's no restrictions or requirements to be able to participate in. As long as you have a club that you are interested in participating in, you can go ahead and do that. So it kind of just gives you a little something to feel more personal while you're at school. We do have summer training programs also. So for the academy, you'll get 3 weeks off for your summer vacation, and then the rest of the time you'll be doing training opportunities, whether that would be a free fall jump out of aircraft, or soaring, or participating in remote pilot aircraft operations, or getting deployed to active duty Air Force base around the country. You'll be doing some type of leadership immersion and learning experience during the rest of your summer. Next slide. Again, it's a full ride scholarship. We cover everything for you, literally have zero expenses, and we also pay you a stipend that hopefully the cadets are saving a little bit of that, but it can also help pay for some of your expenses like cell phone bills, or when you become a junior, you can have a car, and then it'll help pay for your car insurance and things like that. Next slide. After you graduate, you will have a Bachelor of Science degree from the Air Force Academy and commissioned as an officer in either the U.S. Air Force or the U.S. Space Force. And like the other service academies, you will have a 5-year service commitment. If you go into pilot training afterwards, which about 50% of our graduates do, you'll incur a total of 10-year service commitment. That's 5 years for your service academy time, and then 5 years for your aviation training time. Next slide. Here's a handful of our career fields that you can go into. We have quite a few of them. If you're not medically qualified or not interested in going to a rated career field, which is the top left corner there, we have plenty of other career opportunities as well, whether you want to be a lawyer, or if you want to be an engineer, or if you want to be a meteorologist, or go into intelligence. We have all kinds of different career fields available. And like I mentioned earlier, with the bringing on of the Space Force, that is a new capacity that we're increasing as well. So there'll be more career fields available through that branch of service as well. We can skip this slide. Okay, here's your recommended course list that we recommend that you take during your 4 years while you're in high school. It's not mandatory, but this is just kind of what we recommend in order to help prepare you to be academically prepared for admission at the Air Force Academy. Next slide. We are a very highly ranked school. We're the #3 top public school according to the 2021 U.S. News and World Reports list. And our engineering programs are also very highly rated, as well, as you can see on that slide there. And then we're also the #3 high school counselor ranked school for the year 2021. Next slide. So to get started, you can go to our website, academyadmissions.com, and there's a lot more information there through those links that you can see on the left-hand side about the Academy and the admissions requirements. And if you click on that blue link down there on the bottom left that says more about the Academy, it'll actually take you to our usafa.edu website, and that'll provide more information as well about the Air Force Academy. But then if you decided you did want to apply, you would click on the Apply Now button, and that would help you get in contact with your local admissions liaison officer to provide you with more information on that. And I will put the admissions liaison officer for the Virgin Islands is Major Jason Spalding, and I will put his email in the chat as well as mine, so you can contact either one of us if you have questions. And I'd just like to emphasize what the lieutenant said from the Naval Academy, that all of the service academies are excellent choices, regardless of which one you decide you want to go into. They're all excellent schools, and they all will provide you with an excellent education and set you up for success serving the United States military. So I would encourage you that if you're going to apply to one service academy, apply to all of them, or at least several of them, because our application processes are very similar. So if, and they are very competitive. So if you don't get into one service academy, it's always good to have a plan B or a plan C and have that application already completed for the other service academy, to include Air Force ROTC, Navy ROTC, Army ROTC, all those options that are available to you as well. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have multiple opportunities available to you. So I'll go ahead and put my information in the chat, and thank you for your time, and we'll be around for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Major. Again, you can input your questions in the Q&A at the top of your screen, and at the end of the presentation, we'll do a Q&A session. We would move on to Lieutenant Commander Watson from the Merchant Marine.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett and her staff from hosting this event. And to all the young men and women on the phone call, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to present to you the United States Merchant Marine Academy. First and foremost, I would like to say to you that if you're on this call, you're sending me a message. And that message is that you feel that you're better than everyone else. And that's important to me, because I'm not trying to get everyone into the academy. I'm only looking for the better, the brightest students in the country. And that's really important, because service academies, what we produce is leaders. That takes someone that's ready to take that next step and assume the responsibility that it's going to take to lead individuals in peacetime and war. So the Merchant Marine Academy is one of the least known federal academies, but I'm not going to say it. But we like to consider ourselves the academy of choice. And here's the reason being. The Merchant Marine Academy is the only service academy you can go into and graduate from and become an officer in any of the branches of the services. You want to be an Air Force officer, you can come to the Merchant Marine Academy. Navy officer, Coast Guard, it doesn't matter. You have the decision, or you have the ability to make a choice on what direction you want to go into upon graduation, and that includes if you decide you want to go into the maritime industry. So the United States Merchant Marine Academy is located just 16 miles outside of Manhattan on the Long Island Sound in a town called Kings Point, New York. Next slide. The mission of the Academy is to educate and graduate leaders of exemplary character who are inspired to serve the national security, marine transportation, and economic needs of the United States as licensed merchant marine officers and commissions officers in the armed forces. Next slide. So what do we do? Merchant Marines serve on U.S. merchant marine ships consist of privately owned or U.S. registered merchant ships. We provide waterborne transportation for passengers and cargoes moving in domestic and international commerce. And in time of war of national emergency, the U.S. Merchant Marine serves as the fourth arm of defense. One thing, go back to the previous slide, please. The one thing I like to point out, I said, everybody said, well, who is the Merchant Marines? And you see these ships out here. But actually, we're running the most important thing in your life every day of the week. If you stop and think about everything you use every day of the week, 95% of it was made someplace other than America. So one would ask, well, how does it get to America? Shipping. Shipping is one of the largest and one of the highest paid industries in the world. If you think about your cell phone, the TV, your car, your family drive on, and clothes on your back, the majority of that stuff is made somewhere other than America. So that's what we talk about when we talk about supporting the economic needs of the country. Next slide, please. So if you attend our school, what would you earn? You would earn a Bachelor's of Science degree. You would become a commission as an ensign in the Navy Reserve and or any other branch of the service. And you would also earn a Coast Guard license as a Merchant Marine officer, third mate or third assistant engineer. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the obligation. When you go to our school and graduate, you would have to work in the maritime industry. If you choose the maritime industry for 5 years, you would have to maintain your U.S. Coast Guard license for 6 years. We say 6 years because they actually have you retake that license before your 5 years is up, and then serve in the U.S. Navy Reserve for 8 years. Now, you can also do your reservist 8-year commitment in any of the other branches of the service. But now let me explain the reserve. Normally when you hear the reserve, it says 2 weeks a year, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. However, if you graduate from the academy, you fulfill that commitment by only doing 2 weeks a year for 8 years. Now, your other option is to go active duty military. If you choose to go active duty, you will also have to spend 5 years on active duty in any of the nation's armed forces, or you can also serve in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, better known as NOAA. Next slide, please. Academic majors, we're industry focused, so we have 2 departments at the Merchant Marine Academy. The Department of Marine Transportation and Deck License side, and under there you can pursue marine transportation, which focuses on nautical science and maritime business management, or maritime logistics and security, which focus on nautical science, managing complex marine and intermodal supply chains, security challenges facing the marine transportation system. And then under the Department of Marine Engineering, you can study marine engineering, which focuses on shipboard engineering and operations, marine engineering systems, which focus on the design of shipboard systems and machinery, or marine engineering and shipyard management, which focuses on the management of shipyards and the production and repair of marine vehicles. Next slide, please. One of the most fantastic things about our school is what we call Sea Year. If you love to travel, every student that comes to our school see anywhere between 15 and 20 countries while they're in college. And when you go out to sea between your freshman and sophomore year for 4 months, then you come back to this college and you go back out again for 8 months between your junior and senior year. Now, you're not just out in the sea floating in the water. 1 week you might be in Australia, next week you might be in China. We encourage individuals to get off the ship and explore those countries as they visit. But here's the most important thing about Sea Year. Sea Year is really an opportunity where you get to go out and do and practice and learn from individuals that's actually doing the job you're in school studying. During the time you're at Sea Year, also getting paid, so it's a paid internship. So along with that bachelor's degree and an active duty Coast Guard license, you also become a graduate with 1 year paid experience, so real world experience. One thing I failed to say about myself, not only I'm a retired Marine, I'm a retired campus president, higher education. And I used to see my students graduate all the time, and I would talk to the employers when they hire them. One of the complaints they had about our students, they said that they were very smart, but they didn't have experience. That's one thing that a graduate or employer don't have to worry about, a graduate from the United States Merchant Marine Academy. Our students are prepared to go to work the very next day. If you decide to go into the maritime industry, this is the reason why employers are willing to pay our students such a high starting salary. The average starting salary for a person going into the maritime industry is between $85,000 and $145,000 a year. Next slide, please. We have athletics programs as well, both men and female. We are a Division III school. On the men's side, I'm not going to read them all, but just a few of them: baseball, basketball, cross country. Women, we have basketball, cross country, lacrosse, track and field, and we also have a variety of club sports. Next slide. Of course, being a maritime school, waterfront programs are very huge as well. We have a capital vessel program, offshore sailing, a power squad, keel boats, dinghy, and rowing. Next slide, please. This is something that's dear to my heart. I'm a saxophonist. For everyone out there, just keep this in mind when you're thinking about service academies or the military in general. Wherever there's a uniform, band is huge. Musicians are very important. A lot of times when I talk to musicians and they think, well, I'm not an athlete. Well, do you play a saxophone? Do you play a trumpet? We need you. Our band is in great demand. We participate in presidential inauguration parades, St. Patrick's Day parade, Macy Day parades, and a lot of small invitations. So if you play an instrument, we're looking for you as well. Next slide, please. This is just a picture of a map, but don't worry about it. If you go to our website, you can speak to any of these representatives, even though they're in different parts of the country. But I basically cover the Virgin Islands and all international countries. So you can please reach out to me. You can see my address and my phone number down at the bottom. My address and phone number is in the chat as well. So I look forward to speaking to you and answering your questions during the chat session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander. Now we will have the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, Lieutenant Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Mahone here. Perfect. Again, love being on these events. Every time I'm on them, I learn something new about each one of these great service academies here. So take every bit of notes that you possibly can, because again, these are the best that the nation has to offer by all means. And so take everything in, and I hope you sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride here for the United States Coast Guard Academy's presentation. So thank you again, Congresswoman, for having me and allowing us all to present here. And here we go. So the United States Coast Guard Academy, located in beautiful New London, Connecticut, just over 100 acres there. Well, what does the Coast Guard do? Okay, so let's break it down here from the basics. So we are a bit different than those other service academies and those other services. We are actually in the Department of Homeland Security as opposed to the Department of Defense. And what that means essentially is that we have a lot of opportunities to do other things that the other services cannot do. A lot of things that some people do not know is that we're around the whole entire globe. If you want to go work in Africa, you can go work in Africa. If you want to go work in Germany and China, you can work there. And if you want to stay home and protect the shore, you can do that as well. And even on Navy ships, for example, when they're going out and they're doing drug and addiction missions, a lot of times they'll have some Coast Guard members on board in the event that they do have a big drug bust right on the crisp and the cusp of their grasp. They'll put the Coast Guard flag up in order to board that vessel in order that it doesn't appear to be an act of war against another country. So we have a big influence there across the globe and here in the homeland as well. So to break down those missions a little bit more specifically, you're looking at port, waterway, and coastal security, drug and addiction, migrant and addiction. Our defense readiness, which I just mentioned a little bit earlier there, and our law enforcement, marine safety, the beautiful Virgin Islands there. I'm sure a lot of individuals out on the water. The Coast Guard's going to make sure everybody's safe and sound and able to enjoy that beautiful water there on the weekends. Search and rescue, exactly what it sounds like. You're seeing those individuals jumping out of helicopters, going to save those in peril. Aids to navigation. Just like Commander was just speaking about in that previous PowerPoint there, those cargo ships, merchant marine ships need a little bit of direction as they're on outbound and come back inbound. And guess who sets up those green and red buoys that tell them where to go? The U.S. Coast Guard. Liver marine resources, marine environmental protection, as well as ice operations. So, when Santa Claus is in his off season up north, we're going to check in on him, make sure he's doing his daily push-ups and sit-ups down south. We're checking in on those polar bears, making sure they're getting ready for those Coca-Cola commercials. The Coast Guard, the opportunities are endless. Next slide, please. So again, I am Lieutenant Junior Grade Jacob Brown. I am the Southeast Admissions Officer Please take a snapshot here of this specific PowerPoint because it is one of the most important ones in case you want to contact me and ask questions that I may not have addressed throughout this PowerPoint here. And so I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, went to the Coast Guard Academy in 2014, graduated in 2018, played football in my spare time, and then majored in government as well. Had a great time after the academy as well, got the chance to spend some time on the United States Coast Guard Cutter Laguerre out of Portsmouth, Virginia, so it wasn't too far from home for me, so it was a perfect balance of work and being home and back with my friends that I missed so much over the last 4 years in college. After that, I just reported here to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy in June, so I've been here just over 3 months, enjoying my time here recruiting the southeast portion of the United States as well as the Eastern Territory. Next slide, please. There's just a little snapshot of the beautiful Laguerre there. You see the name, and then you'll see a little ceremony we have again. Next slide, please. All right, now to the fun stuff, the reason that you're here. Let's talk about the U.S. Coast Guard Academy specifically. Next slide, please. All right, so that super weird kid that you see in the top left is actually myself having the time of my life as a fourth class or as a swab during swab summer. So you may be confused, what is swab summer? That's the equivalent of what the other service academies may call plebe summer. And so that's your indoctrination period. That's your basic training where you're learning the ins and outs of the Coast Guard and of the academy and learning what it is and what it feels like to be a part of something that's larger than yourself. Just underneath that picture there at the bottom left, again, in my spare time, I love to play a little bit of football, so I had a great time there. And if you look just to the right there, you see another weirdo in an Army uniform for West Point. And that weirdo is actually my older brother, who's a 2011 grad from West Point, so much love to West Point there as well. And then on the far right, that's me in my senior year, having a little bit more fun than I was having in that top left picture there, as I got to participate in another parade, which we hold on the weekend, sometimes on those Friday evenings for individuals to come and watch us march. And I'm there with the superintendent. Next slide, please. There are just a couple of rankings. You know, the Coast Guard Academy, in addition to speaking for itself, you know, we have the numbers to back it as well. You know, number 4 in the nation with best undergraduate teaching, you know, top 11 undergraduate engineering programs in the nation, and a lot of other accolades as well. Next slide, please. So for the Corps Cadets, we are a lot smaller than the other service academies by all means. You're looking at about just over 1,000 in the entire Corps Cadets, whereas some of those other schools may have 1,000 in each class. But that's okay. We don't let that allow us to be underrepresented. And what I mean by that is that we actually have every state in the entire country represented at the Coast Guard Academy with over 20 additional nations as well. And even with that last class here, we're looking at 40% female, 35% minority as well. So we definitely value our underrepresented minorities there and our underrepresented individuals as we look in to bring in, you know, that future class here. And right under that, you see just a few medians for the class that just came in. Again, that is medians, not minimums. And so what I mean by that is that we do what is called a holistic review. Holistic review means essentially we look at everything. We want to know that, okay, that's great. You can shoot a basketball from half court and make it. Fantastic. But what do you do in the classroom? Okay, great. You're great in the classroom, but what do you do in your community? Are you giving back? Are you taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to help those that may not be as fortunate as you are and to give back? And then additionally, you know, we're talking about all the things we can get from you, but we give you a little bit of things back on the back end too. You want to go be a pilot, you can go be a pilot. There are tons of other postgraduate opportunities. If you want to go proceed to be a lawyer, you can go be a lawyer as well. You know, we actually have an 85% graduate retention rate, which means that after the 5 mandatory years that individuals have to serve upon graduation, we actually keep 85% of those individuals to prolong their time as an active duty Coast Guard officer. Next slide, please. With regards to our majors, big STEM schools, just like the other service academies as well. But in addition to that, we also have a brand new major, which is our cyber major. It's getting a lot of popularity. The marine environmental science is big as well, and management. And of course, certainly last but not least, there's the wonderful government major. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Going on to our athletics, we are D3. However, that does not dictate the fact that we have some outstanding players on our fields and courts. We have tons of players that had the opportunity to play Division I, but actually want to serve, and they wanted to serve in the Coast Guard, so they came and played D3. We've had individuals that have gone on to the Olympics, and we've had individuals that proceed to be All-Americans. You know, we're covering a spectrum there with regards to top peer talent. and we're covering special in sports as well. You know, your basketball, your football, your soccer, your softball. And additionally, we also are very, very big on club sports. And so you're looking at your boxing, your ice hockey, rugby, and your water polo as well. And we actually have 3 sports that are actually Division I, and that's our sailing rifle and pistol teams, all of which have recently produced Olympic trial athletes. Next slide, please. Again, with regards to cadet activities, there are tons. We have over 20 clubs for you to participate in that hopefully fits the mold that you would like to be a part of. And if you feel like you see the list there and it's just not enough for you, that's fine. You can actually make your own club. Very simple process to do. You just have to follow what we call a sponsor, and they just ensure that everything is going on and everything is going on appropriately with the club. Next slide, please. And there we have the beautiful Chase Hall. Next slide, please. So what you have there is the typical barracks setup. You see that we provided all for you. You have the racks and you have little spaces to put pictures of your friends and family. For the cadet day, you're looking at waking up about 6 a.m. and then lights out about 10:00 with a little bit of meals in between and some military training as well and time for sports. Next slide, please. With regards to your summers, that freshman year summer may not be the most fun time of your life, but I promise you the rest of the years will be. Your sophomore year, you'll get to go and sail on a mighty tall ship Eagle and feel like Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean if you're into that. Your junior year, you'll get to work in your leadership and be a cadre and lead the incoming freshmen. And then your senior year, you'll get the chance to go out into the fleet as well and really practice and learn what it's going to be like to be a junior officer in the United States Coast Guard. Next slide, please. In regards to our application requirements, 100% online. We require 3 letters of recommendation from your English instructor, your math instructor, as well as your guidance counselor. We're looking for your official SATs and ACTs. Usually see an average SAT of about 1,300 and ACT of about 30. For the physical fitness evaluation, we look at a 1.5-mile run, push-ups, as well as sit-ups. And then we have personal statements as well as additional requirements there as well. Next slide, please. Another thing you should snapshot right here, please take a picture of these dates. October 15th is just around the corner for our early action individuals. You'll receive a nice letter in the mail right before the holidays, letting you know that you received an appointment to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. And for our regular admission deadline, we're looking at January 29th. And again, understand that the COVID has adjusted things a little bit. And so with regards to the SAT and ACT, we are requiring that for our early action deadline. However, we are taking into account if you are unable to take that test for your regular admission deadline. So if you are unable to take that test, please just provide proof that you tried your best, and we will take that into consideration. Next slide, please. With that, that wraps up my presentation here. Hopefully you got my contact information at the very beginning of the slide, and I can answer any questions for you that you may have. I appreciate your time again, and everyone have a great evening as well.
Thank you, Lieutenant Brown. Thank you all to the 5 academies for their presentation this evening. I would like to go ahead and introduce Cletus Clendon, the District Director for our Office of Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett.
Thank you, Candia. So good night, everyone. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us here tonight. You know, I say this every year, but this is one of my favorite events of the year. And I typically get to see a lot of young people in person. Of course, tonight we're doing it in this virtual format, but I could see all 129 of you all out there. So thank you all for joining, as well as I see several of the ROTC commanders out there, and teachers, parents, and other support. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I just really wanted to quickly just go over, just clarify a few things and just go over the Congresswoman's office piece of this puzzle. So in the video we played at the beginning, the Congresswoman spoke about a deadline being October 31st. That deadline she's referencing is the deadline to submit to our office for a nomination. So you just saw the Coast Guard did a presentation. Now the Coast Guard is one of the academies that does not, you do not need a congressional nomination or any other nomination to go to the Coast Guard. You could apply straight to them And, you know, that's one process. But each of the other 4 academies, along with your regular application, you still will need a nomination of some sort. There are presidential nominations, vice presidential nominations, and a few others, but the most common one is a nomination from your member of Congress, which is Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. You know, so just letting you know, so if you're interested in one of these schools, if you're a senior this year, you need to go to plaskett.house.gov, which is our website, fill out your nomination papers, submit those by October 31st. Of course, the other steps, you know, if you are a senior right now, you probably should have started your application already to any of these academies. Meaning, you know, typically we want, I think for most academies, you can start your applications from anywhere in March. I think Naval Academy is a little later, it's in April, but in the spring of your junior year, you can apply, get your paperwork going. If you have not done so already, it's still not too late. As you see, you can do this up until you're 22, in some cases 23 years old. But either way, I'm gonna let the show go on. We have some more special guests, but again, thank y'all for joining. And I wanna, of course, take this time to thank my wonderful team, Japera, Krieger, she's in the back, Tiana, Tioni, and of course, Candia Rivera. This is my production team. You guys did a great job, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Cletus. Let's welcome Lisa Weishart, a parent of a student who is currently enrolled in the Coast Guard Academy. Lisa?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you to the Honorable Delegate Plaskett and her team for putting on this evening. I am the parent of a current Service Academy cadet. Our son Silas is 20 years old, and he's currently in his 2nd year at the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how he got there. But what I really want to say first is that the service academies are an opportunity of a lifetime. And I would really like to encourage as many Virgin Islands high school students as possible to give them consideration and to seek appointments. We're not a military family. Up to 3.5 years ago, our son had expressed zero interest in any kind of military career. Like many high school students, he wasn't really sure what he wanted to do. I hope that there are some college counselors in the Zoom meeting, because our son's journey to the Coast Guard Academy started because of an excellent college counseling staff at his high school, the Peter Gruber International Academy on St. Thomas, who sent out information about a Coast Guard summer program for high school students. It's called the AIM program, and encouraged him to apply. If you're considering the Coast Guard Academy, I highly recommend the AIM program, and I believe that most of the other service academies have a corollary program. They're excellent, and I really recommend them, especially for us as Virgin Islanders, because we are geographically remote. And these summer programs are just a great way to get like a 1-week taste of what it's like to be part of a service academy. The application process for the academy is detailed, but there is a platform, as you just heard Mr. Brown talk about, to keep you on track. It took some time for our son to get through the application process, and there was some waiting involved. And in the end, our son did not, in fact, receive a direct appointment to the Coast Guard Academy. He was instead admitted to the Coast Guard Academy Scholars Program. And again, I believe that most of the service academies have a similar program where he was essentially sponsored by the Coast Guard Academy to spend an academic year at a military prep school. And the idea behind this is that extra year just gives you extra time to prepare for the rigors of being part of a service academy. That year that Silas spent, he spent his year at Marion Military Institute in Alabama, and it was a solid year. He really honed his academics. He took college classes. and basically learned all things military, from how to square your steps to how to take care of your uniform. And after that year, our son did receive his full appointment to the Coast Guard Academy. And as I indicated, he's currently in his second of 4 years. I do think it's interesting that his closest friends at the Academy are the friends that he made in that Coast Guard Scholars Program. We've been fortunate as a family to visit the Academy a couple of times, and the community is very welcoming. The leadership has been accessible and transparent, even and especially through the pandemic. And I feel privileged that our son gets not only to be part of a service academy, but that he gets to follow Virgin Islanders who have graduated from service academies and have gone on to distinguish themselves, including Renakwa Russell, who is the first African-American female aviator to receive the Coast Guard Air Medal, and Nikki Barnes, a Coast Guard Academy graduate who is training for the 2021 Olympic Games. I hope that our son and that many of you in this Zoom meeting tonight will go on to graduate from service academies and bring that kind of honor to the Virgin Islands. I do want to say a quick word to parents. Service academy life takes some adjustment, and it does require some letting go. I think just about all of the service academies have some kind of initiation period. At the Coast Guard, as you heard, it's called Swab Summer. It's 7 weeks. You hear very little from your child during that time. And if you take them to the check-in for Swab Summer, you drop them off in the morning. And by the time you see them a few hours later to say goodbye, they have they put on some kind of uniform and they've taken an oath. And if you have a son, he's missing most of his hair. And it's like a jolt to the system, because you have to then recognize as a parent that they're not yours to tell them what to do anymore. On the other hand, there is no better time in life for them to leave home and go do one of the hardest things they'll ever do. It builds character. It builds self-confidence. There are wonderful parent groups on the internet where, on social media, where you can basically get every question that you might have as a parent answered. There's a ton of support out there. I did ask my son what he would say to high school students who are thinking about applying to a service academy. And he said a couple of things. He said, first of all, you need to know that in many ways it is more challenging than college. You're balancing a very tough course load with military training and with just maintaining your fitness for duty. But the second thing he said is that it is 100% worth it. The student body and the leadership are world class. When you graduate, you commission as an officer. And the travel opportunities, as you've heard from many of the presenters tonight, are just incredible. And it's just in every way the career path that our son wants. And I hope many of you will want it as well. There's a lot more that I could say, but I hope that what I'm conveying is this. Don't rule out a service academy because you think you won't get in. Our son was in that space. Yes, the admission criteria are high, and it is daunting when you look at it. But please know that there is a path to getting an appointment, if not directly, then through one of the prep school programs for students like our son who just needed an extra year of foundation. I'll put my email address in the chat. I'm glad to answer any questions, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lisa, for that. Now we'll go ahead and have our very own Kobe Sutton, who is a recent graduate from the Naval Academy. Kobe, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Like Candia said, my name is Kobe Sutton. I'm an ensign in the United States Navy. First and foremost, before I begin, I'd like to thank Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett for having me on this evening just to share my experience being a student from the Virgin Islands applying to the service academy. So a little bit about myself. I was born on St. Thomas and lived there until 2011 and moved over to St. Croix to begin high school. And it wasn't until maybe the beginning of my junior year when I really started considering, okay, it's about that time where I need to start looking at colleges. And just to give you a little background, my dad is in the National Guard on St. Croix. So I come from a military home, and I had kind of weighed, whether or not I wanted to just go to normal college or, figure out a route to get into the military just to follow in his footsteps. And it was really my mom who had kind of pressed for me, to consider applying to different service academies, because it never had occurred to me that, hey, like these are options that I could pursue. So I started looking up West Point because my dad is in the Army National Guard. I figured, okay, why not try that one? And she told me, hey, why don't you broaden your options a little bit? Look at all the other service academies. So I did, and I ended up applying to West Point, the Naval Academy, and the Air Force Academy. And I got appointments from each of the three, and I ultimately decided to go with the Naval Academy. And so I went off to plebe summer or boot camp on July 1st, 2015. And haven't looked back since. I majored in political science when I was at the academy, graduated with a Bachelor of Science, like all the presenters previously said. And I ended up looking into the explosive ordnance disposal track, and I began screening for that my junior year of college, and I was selected in November of 2018. So currently, I'm commissioned right now, and currently I'm in a E of E school in Eglin, Florida. And so I have about 6 or 7 months of training left, and then I'll be able to get to my first unit. So that's just a little bit about the track that I'm on right now, and how I ended up getting interested. I just want to talk to you guys right now about just if I could impart some advice as far as what you guys should be thinking about going into this application process. One major thing is don't shy away from either of the academies, even if like the previous presenter said, you're locked into just one. Consider broadening your scope and applying to all, because it's a small pool in the Virgin Islands that they're pulling from. So you want to make yourself look as competitive as you can, and don't limit yourself in any way, shape, or form. After I had gotten accepted, to the Naval Academy, I had no idea what to expect. Funny enough, I really didn't know much about the Navy, and when I first got to the academy, one of the first questions they asked us during our basic training was, hey, what community do you want to go into when you commission? And I jokingly said, hey, anything that would keep me out of the water, but that was just me at the time being closed-minded to what the Navy was, even though I had accepted the offer to the academy. But there's a plethora of opportunities that each of the service academies offer that you don't want to close yourself off to. Another piece of advice is it's going to take a lot of adjustment, like Ms. Weishart said before, because we're coming from our own culture down here and we're integrating with students from many different backgrounds. So just be open to diversity and meeting new people throughout your 4 years at the academy. One of the best memories I have from at the academy was my senior year. Another midshipman and I, her name is Hazel Acosta. She's a senior right now at the Naval Academy. We both started the Midshipman Caribbean Heritage Club. And it's a pretty popular club, I would say, on the yard right now. And we were able to get that off the ground just to give students from the academy more exposure to what it's like to be someone from the Caribbean and then the Virgin Islands specifically, and what our lifestyle is like and what we bring to the table as far as diversity for the academy. So that was one of my favorite memories also. Another great thing about service academies is the opportunity to travel. During each of the summers, I was able to travel to different parts of the country. I had a lot of friends that were able to travel even overseas to Spain and Japan on their different exposure cruises. So those are also great opportunities that you can look forward to. And I guess to close out, if you guys have any questions, if you think, hey, I'm probably not fit for this, I'm one of a few that may get into the academy, I still encourage you to ask questions. I still encourage you to apply to each of the academies if you're able to. Don't lock yourself into just one, because you don't know what path you might get set on. I was dead set on, hey, my dad is in the Army, that's where I want to go. And there was another plan in store for me, and I am very happy with where I ended up today. And shout out to like all the guidance counselors, all the teachers, all the parents also that are, even encouraging their kids and their students to look into these service academies, because it's presented me with a lot of very good opportunities that, I don't regret at all. So thank you all for having me on this evening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kobe. Thank you all for sticking around. We're still over 100 participants right now. So we'll move on now to the question and answer.
Yes. Yeah, so we have several questions right now in the chat. I'll try to hit some of well, all these questions are important, but we're going to try to hit a few of them probably over the next 5-10 minutes. And then anything we don't answer, we'll try to get back to you on at a later time. And so first of all, Kobe, Colonel Benjamin said, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, yeah, so what's the first one? So somebody's asking about what's the lowest ACT or SAT score to be able to enter these academies. I know each one has a little different scale, but well, let me see. How many? We have all the panelists still around, Candia? I'm not seeing everybody.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we do.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. So Major Withers, what would be your lowest SAT score you guys or ACT score you accept?
So the minimum to be competitive is 560 on the math portion and then a 560 on the verbal portion, but that's just to be considered. For the ACT, it's 24. To be really competitive for the Air Force Academy, you would need to be above a 650 on math and verbal, or about a 28 to 29 on the ACT. And again, it's just to be competitive with all the other students that are also applying. If your scores are below that, you should still complete your application, because you have to complete your application to be considered for the preparatory school. So if you don't quite meet those requirements, then you still need to complete your application to potentially have a spot to go to the prep school.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I'm not sure if anybody else wanted to join and add anything else from their academies. But if not, next question. Do each of these academies have music programs? I guess we could do a quick yes or no on that.
Yeah, so Naval Academy does have from Glee Club to Drum and Bugle Corps to Scottish Marching Band, a lot of different options.
All right, great.
Air Force
United States Merchant Marine Academy has the same. Marching bands, small ensembles. The music is really huge at the academy.
All right, cool. Major Withers?
Yep, the Air Force Academy has a Drum and Bugle Corps, and then we also have a choir, and I think there's one other thing, but we do have several, I think we have an orchestra as well, but we have several music opportunities available.
All right. Is Captain Winter still with us?
Yes, sir. The Army has a band as well. There's one at West Point. It's typically NCOs, but we do have a music program as well.
Okay. And Lieutenant Brown, you still there? I'm not sure if he's still with us. Okay. Next question. Somebody asked if about the Air Force having a computer science program. You got a quick answer for us on that?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Great, great, great. Okay, so this is more of a general question. Somebody's interested in being a physician. Which academy would be the best for that?
Physician or doctor?
I'd like to speak to that actually. So what we always say for the Air Force Academy is that if your primary goal in life is to become a doctor, going to a service academy is not the best option for that, because we cannot guarantee that you will get to go to medical school. Every year we do have about 15 to 20 or so individuals that go to that do go to medical school after graduation, but they're competing against everybody else, and that's out of 1,000 graduates. So it is highly competitive. It's not impossible, but if your primary goal is to become a doctor, I'd highly recommend you find a university that has a medical school program and maybe a ROTC program that you can enroll in simultaneously, and then pursue your medical degree that way, because even though we do send people to medical school, we don't guarantee it. So we say if that's your primary intent, then you know, maybe service academy is not the right way to go.
Okay. Lieutenant Brown, you wanted to say something?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I had the cell phone muted, but the Zoom screen not muted and all over the place. But yes, so the Coast Guard Academy does have the great music program as well. And just echoing off of what was just said with regards to the physician's assistant, it is a very tough program as well. The opportunity is there in the Coast Guard, but it's very, very selective. And so, you know, you would definitely be having to dive into the books there.
Okay. Lieutenant Commander Watson, Colonel Benjamin wants to know, what's the meaning of the fourth arm of defense?
Well, even though we come under the Department of Transportation and national emergencies, the Merchant Marine can go to war. Matter of fact, historically, if you're in World War II, 142 Merchant Marines lost their lives. And then we're also a big part of the Sea Lift Command, so we work close with the military, so we can go to war, even though we're Department of Transportation.
Okay, great. Candy, I'm not sure if you can answer this one. They were asking if this seminar will be taped, and can it be available for students who could not participate tonight?
Yes, it will be taped and available. I'll send it out once I get the recordings.
Okay, great, great, great. There was also a question from a student about how do you qualify for prep school? Any of you want to take that on?
Sure, I can speak to it for the Naval Academy. Prep school is automatically offered to you by us if we deem that you're a good candidate for it. So maybe you need a little extra academic prep, maybe you spent a year enlisted or something along those lines. And there's no separate application process. You would basically just do your application normally, and then we would extend an offer to you for Naval Academy Prep School. And then you would, from there, after a year at the prep school, you would then come and attend your 4 years at the academy.
Got you.
Can I chime in on that, please?
Go ahead, yes, sir.
Okay, well, with the Merchant Marine Academy, it's the same. The only thing different that I would like to say is that everyone the process is very competitive to get into any of the academies. The truth is not everyone's going to make it. But as you go through that process, that does not mean you're not what we're looking for, because it's actually a numbers game. So as you go through that application process, if you're not selected, put your best foot forward, because that's you still sending a message, and that's who we choose to go to the prep school. Some individuals go to our prep school and might have just missed the academy by 1 point or one person, but we still want you to come to our academy. So we really choosing from the best that actually apply to go to the academy, because we want you there and we want you to come the very next year.
Okay, great, great, great. Let me see. I got a few more here. Yeah, so Colonel Withers, I think there's an individual who wants to try to get to you one-on-one. So we're gonna probably share all the information for each one of the presenters. So if you want to get one-on-ones with them, you can.
Yeah, Cletus, I've been trying to answer a lot of these questions just via the text function as well.
Yeah, I've been seeing you hitting some of them. So great, thank you for that. Yeah, so somebody asked a question for our office. what are we looking for as far as the nomination process? And so we basically have set up a similar format to most of the academies. We look at the students' backgrounds. We're looking for a whole student as well. So we basically follow the guidelines of all the different academies, and we usually put together a board of about 3 or 4 people every year. The board basically does interviews with all the students that are seeking nominations, and if they see that you are ready to get that nomination, through your scoring, through your interview, at that point we forward those positive nominations to all the academies. But like I said, we have more information. It will be on it is on our website, plaskett.house.gov. And if you also have if you have any issues finding any of the presenters, any of these admissions officers, please do reach out to our office, and we can make that connection. Let me see if I can find 1 or 2 more good questions here. Okay, let me take a shot at this one. I had several questions about people that are interested in being homicide detectives or working in law enforcement. They were asking which academy, or do you see it? Is there a track in any of the academies for anybody interested in those fields?
I'll speak for the Coast Guard Academy in that instance there. As a government major, you will have the opportunity to take security studies classes and kind of get your hand in the jar there with regards to all the not so in the newspaper items that, goes on in the background here, especially being a part of the Department of Homeland Security. There are opportunities to go down to DC and see a lot of things that a lot of other individuals wouldn't get to see. And then additionally, upon graduation, after your first tour at your first unit, you also have the chance to potentially take part in our Coast Guard Investigative Service, or our CGIS, kind of like a spinoff of the NCIS if you're into that TV show.
And while you have the floor, there was somebody also asking, is there a deadline for juniors to apply to any of these academies? If you want to lead off with that one, Lieutenant Brown.
So your actual application wouldn't come in until your senior year, but again, this is Ms. Wise was discussing with regards to AIM, our Academy Introduction Mission. As a junior, that's what you need to be applying for, so you can partake in that heading into your senior year, and you can really get that full-blown academy experience from what it'd be like to be a cadet, what it could be like to be a SWAB, and maybe a little bit of a taste there of what it'd be like to be a Coast Guard officer as well.
All right. Captain Winters, what would be your suggestions for high school juniors?
Same. So as a high school junior, your application is not due, but it does open the end of your junior year. So once it opens, you can start working on it. If you want to apply for our summer leadership experience, then that would be something that you would look at your junior year. And I would just recommend sending me an email if you're a junior and interested, and we can talk about different things to set yourself up for success.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I have another question here about how many people will be selected for nominations. So typically our office is allowed to nominate, I think it's 10 for each academy. To be brutally honest, the most applicants I think we've ever had is 9 total, meaning 9 for each academy, meaning that even if I nominated each one of those individuals to each one of these academies, we would still have additional space. But the key to this is typically only one Virgin Islander will get into each academy on a given year. There are certain exceptions to that. I won't go into that now. It's kind of convoluted, but for the most part, it's going to be one. So this is another reason why when you hear, Kobe talk about Kobe and Major Withers and Lieutenant Fraser talk about applying to more than one academy, that's the reason why. Because we've had years where individuals all applied to the same academies, only one got in, and then there was a bunch of open spaces in other academies. So we encourage you, these applications, you don't have to pay for them. They're free, they're online. It's basically the same information for each academy. So this is why we encourage you to apply to all of them if that's possible. Let me see if I can find one more question before we close out. Okay, let me go to a fun one, and I'll let everybody kind of close out on this one. You know, how easy is it to make friends at each academy? And so, Keith, since you're at the top of my screen, let me start with you, Lieutenant Commander Watson.
Well, that's actually, it's easy to make friends, but you know we all are individuals, so your individual personality comes in. A young man that was just graduated from the Naval Academy said it best by opening yourself up to diversity and new experience. So the more you open yourself and allow yourself to get to be known, the easier it will be. But we're a small academy, so it's lots of fun. It's easy to make friends. A lot of our students are raised locally, so they go home on the weekends. They create a second family. Actually, some of them right there at the academy. And then the fun of going to New York helps create a lot of friendship.
All right. Thank you for that. Captain Winters.
I would agree with what he said. It's really easy to make friends at the academy. There's something about going through a challenge with the people next to you that builds friendships. So every day at the academy is going to be challenging in one way or another, be it academics, be it physically, be it militarily. So going through that with people, you know, brings you together. And then definitely the mindset, like a lot of people around you are going to be similar to you. So it's not hard to make friends at all. You'll make a lot and they'll become lifelong friends, which is the best part.
Thank you for that. Mr. Brown, football player.
So if you do play football and some of the other sports, I had about 70 good friends that I got to make throughout my years. But again, just going off what Commander Watson was saying and what Captain was saying from West Point, you'll make those friends. You know, again, the Coast Guard Academy is so small. You make friends with everyone, from everyone in your class to all the upper class, and the next thing you know, when you're a senior, all the way down to the freshmen. So you know almost a decade's worth of Coast Guard officers at that point, and then from there, you know somebody that somebody else knows. The next thing you know the entire Coast Guard, because we're pretty small. So word gets around fast with our service there, but that's all right. You know, you create those lifelong bonds, and you'll keep them forever for sure.
Yeah. So when you were talking about the Eagle earlier, I did get an opportunity to sail on it when it came down a few years ago. It comes down every few years, so that was a great opportunity. And you know, so for those who don't know, we have several Virgin Islanders that been through the academy, have graduated. Some of them are still working for the Coast Guard, even if they're civilians, but they're still doing help with the work with the Coast Guard. And you know, so right now there's a big WhatsApp chat that me and Ms. Weishert's on, and you know, so we get a bunch of information from students that are all over the place doing a lot of great stuff. So that's a great thing. And I see Kobe starting his group at the Naval Academy too. That's you know, that's good stuff. But Major Withers, how's it making friends out in Colorado?
Well, right off the get-go, we're all thrown into this seemingly impossible situation together. And, you know, you go through basic training together for 7 weeks, and then you survive that. And then you go through your freshman year, and, you know, you're dealing with academics and military training and all this other stuff. And you quickly find that, you know, you have a very close knit of like-minded people that are all trying to accomplish the same goals that you are. And you all become, you know, friends, and they're lifelong friends. And, you know, you're all in the same class together, going through the same thing together. You know, it's just, when you put that many people together, going through a similar experience, it's difficult to not make friends. And I still keep in touch with my my roommate from the academy, not every day, but you know, we do keep in regular contact. And I have a handful of other graduates that I keep in those conversations. You're making bonds for life, because you are a part of the Long Blue Line or whichever service academy you are in. You've all been through it. Everybody gets what you've been through and understands the experiences that you've all shared. And you know, there's nothing else quite like it.
All right, thank you for that, sir. Thank you for that. Lieutenant Frazier.
Yeah, so I would kind of echo what everybody said. I actually still keep contact with a lot of my friends at the academy. And just so that I don't sound like a sounding board, I know for us, we have a sponsor family program as well, where you have the opportunity to have a local family in town in Annapolis sponsor you, and you can go to their house on weekends. They give you rides, and you get to really get to know these families. And my sponsor, mom and dad, still live here near Maryland. They're over in Delaware. And they came and helped with the birth of my child 2 weeks ago. So not only do you make friends that you're gonna get to know and everything, but you're gonna meet people, whether they're your age or the sponsor families, that are really gonna be here to support you, and it's pretty awesome.
Oh man, that's great.
And for the Air Force Academy too, the sponsor family program.
Yes. Oh yeah, matter of fact, there was a parent from the USVI reached out several years back. I think it was right before the hurricane, so we kind of lost contact, but that'll be great to get back on with that. And Lieutenant Fraser, I gotta laugh because when you first came on the call, I was gonna ask you, are you a pilot? Because you got the pilot voice down. Good stuff. So let me ask Kobe. You still there, Kobe?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So I'll let you close out. How was it making friends at the academy, sir? I know you went over it a little bit, but.
Yeah, I would definitely say that I agree with what everyone said. But to even add on to that, it's really dependent on the person, if you make it a point that, you're in a new environment, you're going to be interacting with people you've never met before, and you're willing to put yourself out there to make friends, you will make friends, Like I still keep in contact with my freshman year roommate, even after we weren't roommates anymore. The guys that I'm currently going through school with, some of them I didn't even know while I was at the academy, but we all got thrown into that selection pot together. And now these are some of my closest friends that I've made while in school, So it's very, very tight knit from the very, very beginning, and it'll keep that way. I hope at least it continues to be that way for me, even, 5-10 years down the road. So.
All right. Thank you for that. Candia?
Yes, Cleo. Yes, I am. I'm here. Thank you all for the questions that you have submitted, and thank you for participating this evening. On behalf of the Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett office, we thank you for everyone who has joined us this evening. I'm sorry. I hope the virtual Academy Day has answered many questions for our students and parents. The deadline for the nomination packet is October 31st, and please do not hesitate to reach out to our office. We are welcome to helping every student. Again, thank you all and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Hey, Cletus, next time we need to have another in person.
Oh yeah, for sure. for sure.
All right, take care.
All right, take care. I hope to see y'all down here at some point. That'll be great.
Nice.
Cletus, until then, I'm gonna reach out to you anyway.
Thank you.
Tanisha, I forgot. I was on the wrong screen. I forgot about you, Tanisha.
It's okay.
No problem. Sorry about that. Yeah, man. Hey, Kobe, keep up the good work. So I'll be giving you a call soon.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. You inspire me.
I appreciate that. All right, y'all take care.
Bye, Kobe.